So today, it's fall outside, it's crispy, all I can think about is soup. So we're gonna stick with in-season vegetables, and I'm gonna teach you how to make a beautiful butternut squash soup with an Italian flair. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna prep the vegetables. You're gonna use one whole butternut squash. You can take the butternut squash, you're gonna peel it, and then you're going to dice it up so that you've got even-sized pieces, so when you throw it in the soup, it'll break down more easily. You're going to thinly slice one onion, and then you're going to crush 4 cloves of garlic. So now that the vegetables are all cut up, let's start making some soup. You're going to turn your stove on to about medium. You're going to add in about, I don't know, I do swirls. So maybe 3 swirls of olive oil. And to that, you're going to add the cloves of garlic, the sliced onions, fresh sage, and of course salt and pepper. You're going to cook that down for about 15 minutes until it's nice and caramelized. So the next step, now that the onions are nice and tender and super fragrant, we're going to add in some tomatoes. You're just going to take 2 or 3 plum tomatoes, canned plum tomatoes. Now that the tomatoes are in there, you're going to let it go for about, I don't know, 5-7 minutes. So getting to the star of the show, it's time to put the butternut squash into the pot. After you pour it in, make sure to give it a really good stir to incorporate all the goodness from the bottom in with the squash. And of course, don't forget a little salt and pepper to taste. And then you really just kind of let it set and go. It does its own little magic here. Put the lid on, and then I'll see you in 15. So as you can see, the butternut squash is starting to get nice and tender. If you want to just put a fork in there, you can see that it goes right through. And now we're ready to add some broth. Because not all broths are created equal. I like to use a bone broth because it has a really high protein content. For about 1 cup of bone broth, you have about 10 grams of protein. And I know for me and most women that I know, we don't get enough protein in our diet. I guess I need more protein because I can't even get this container open. Seriously? Oh my goodness. And I'm just gonna pour that in there. Just gonna let that simmer and for about 20 minutes, and then we're gonna come back and then we're gonna puree it. So now the soup's ready to be pureed. I use a hand mixer. You can also use a Cuisinart, but then you have to take it out of the hot pot, put it into the Cuisinart, and then add it back. It creates more of a mess. This is my go-to. And you just put it in here, you put it straight down, and you just start pureeing everything. And you just kind of pick it up and move it around, because it's not gonna swirl it around like a Cuisinart would, and it shouldn't take very long at all. But I use this all the time for my soups. And then from here, we're really just going to make sure that it's seasoned appropriately. We're gonna test it. It's delicious, but I like a little bit more pepper in there. And then just for a little subtle heat at the end, I'm going to add in some crushed red peppers. And here's a picture of the final product. Just sprinkle it with a little Parmesan cheese and pair it with a side salad, and you have a complete meal. This recipe yields about 2.5 quarts, so you and your family are set for the week. It can also be frozen, but I doubt there'll be any left to freeze once everyone finds out you've made a fresh batch. So now that you've got the basics down, these techniques can be applied to any vegetable that you like. Broccoli is by far one of my favorite soups. All you need to do is just add in a little potato to thicken it up. And pumpkin is really hearty, especially when topped with some black beans. You could also take the same recipe I followed today, but instead of going Italian, you could go Mexican by adding cumin and chili powder and cilantro. The most important thing is just to have fun with it and enjoy. See, cooking healthy isn't hard. You just need to know some basics and have a little flossom in your kitchen. And you can get both by clicking here to subscribe.